Once it's done, if I make any changes to any of my operating systems, right, I have my operating system templates. Maybe I change a work group. Who knows what I changed in the template? Only the deltas are sent down to that site. So you're not having to sync down an entire image. You're syncing down only the files that have changed. And that goes the same for the software packages, the patches. All that information that's synced down to that remote site is only the parts that have changed. So it's a very, very efficient way of transferring data down. And if, maybe the site's just on a dial-up connection, who knows? Maybe it's a remote site somewhere and they barely have a connection getting out of there. Again, we just need to get the files down there. Once they're down there, the system is very, very efficient. And just to give you an example, so if I have a machine in San Jose and I activate a particular machine, over the wire, we're only sending maybe a 2 to 3K file. We're sending a very, very small file across the wire, and that machine, that server at that remote site, handles the rest. Okay, so it is a very, very lightweight infrastructure to handle this system. So when you're looking at what do we need to have in place, what do we need to have in place at our corporate site, what do we need to have in place at our remote site, we could run these off of Linux servers. So now you're looking at a reduced cost in the type of server that you need, the class of server. If you even want to put it on a server, remember we can put these on a desktop. I can put this on an administrator's assistant's laptop, and it can carry out the commands that I want it to at those remote sites. And so if we're not worried about an operating system, we don't have to worry about possible another Windows server that needs to be installed at that site, or another database that needs to be installed and managed and paid for at that site. You're saving money right off the top. So again, it's a very lightweight infrastructure. The agent that runs on these machines is a very lightweight agent. The user doesn't even see it running. It's one agent to control all the modules that you've seen here so far. And what's nice is that the agent only checks in on the polling interval, or the server can jumpstart that agent and push information out to it directly. So if there are any changes in inventory on the remote machine, we don't need to know about it immediately. But if we do, we can poll it and wake it up and grab that information. So if we're looking to find out how many copies of Office Professional do I have in my environment, we can very easily create that filter and then find out what information that is. So one of the last things that I wanted to talk about is the self-provisioning, the remote control, and the VDI. We'll get the easy one out of the way. The remote control is very simple. The way the remote control works is it's from the console here. You can right-click on whichever machine you want to remote control, and I can come in here and use our Imperium remote control, which actually allows you to do screen file transfers. It does screen blanking, mouse and keyboard blanking. We can actually wake a machine up to remote control it, right? So if your solution right now does not allow you to turn a machine on, remote control it, and shut it back down, this is something you might want to take a look at, because the problem is not all machines are left on all the time, right? But we can actually go in here and we can activate a machine and just wake it up, just turn it on, right? And then once it's on, since the remote control runs as a service, the user doesn't have to be logged in for us to get control over that machine. So you can remote control the machine, and also you can see here that we have other options here for AMT. The next thing is self-provisioning. Now this is probably one of the coolest features that I've seen in our software, and what it does, what it allows you to do is literally unbox a machine, plug it into a network, and have an operating system and all the user's data pushed down to that machine. So if you're running with Dell or IBM or Compaq, and I don't know what your process is today, but if you unbox a machine, or you have a user unbox a machine at a remote site, how quickly can you get an operating system put down on there? Do you have to send somebody out on site to do that particular installation? Well, the way that we allow you to do this is we can take a machine that is not even on the network. We don't even know the MAC address. We don't know anything about this machine, and we can have the machine plugged into a network, have it pixie boot, connect to our server, and a menu would come up. The menu that comes up, I actually don't have something to show you, but the menu that comes up is a very simple menu that says, please enter your username and password. And we can, as an administrator, we can send the user's information, or send that particular user a temporary password to log in. The user logs in, and it says, what type of machine are you? You know, where are you located? Just basic questions. Are you located in Atlanta? Where are you located, right? So if it says, yes, I'm in Atlanta, so the user says, I'm in Atlanta, so it automatically takes from the not assigned group, takes the machine, and drops it into the Atlanta group. But if the user says, hey, I'm in Atlanta, but I'm in the marketing group, it puts it in the marketing group. So now it sees if there's any other software that is assigned particularly to this Atlanta group under marketing. Let's say everybody in the Atlanta group gets TextPad, but everybody in marketing gets not only these pieces here, oops, but they also get .NET, right? So this is how we can separate each individual group under a configuration group to specify what additional piece of software they get. So the user gets that piece of software in there, and then it automatically loads itself. So just think about this for a second, right? So if you have in your remote site, you might have a couple extra machines just sitting in a closet, right? Just spare machines. If somebody's machine blows up on them, we can actually take those spare machines, you plug them directly into the network and provision them right there on the spot. And typical builds, again, are anywhere from about 20 minutes to about 45 minutes, and the user is up and running. If you're help desk, somebody calls the help desk, and you've got the blue screen of death, right? And instead of sending somebody on site to mess around on that machine or send a technician out to where that machine is, how much easier would it be if you can go in there and say, okay, I know that you're in the lab group. I know that you're this Windows R Hathaway machine. I can right-click, activate, check a couple boxes next, and finish. And again, my work as a technician is done for loading an operating system. I don't have to worry about what drivers are necessary, what backup information is on those machines, what software needs to go down on those machines, because it's all pre-configured in here. So the deployment process and building of the way that our software deploys operating systems and the applications is very, very efficient. It's very easy to modify. There is no one out there right now that can go into an image, a static image, and correct it or add to it as quickly as we can. Again, drag and drop. Drag and drop it to a group, right? Change the operating system. We don't want Windows XP on these machines. We're doing a migration. 82% of everybody on the call right now will be doing migrations, I would imagine, over the next year or so, if not sooner. Here's how we do our migration. That's how we do our migrations. Okay. And the last thing we'll talk about is VDI. I think there was somewhere around 40 or 45%. I don't remember the exact number who are the people out there who are interested in VDI. It can be kind of scary, right? There's a lot that goes into building out a VDI environment. The back end can be very complex. But one thing that we allow you to do is manage both physical and virtual machines from one console. We can build out entire groups using VDI, right? Using our Citrix backend, we can actually go in here and build out a Zen server and do it right here. We can put all the information here that's necessary to build that Zen server and build it out completely from our groups. So I can come in here and I can right-click on a particular machine, and I can virtualize it from where it is. If this is a physical machine, I can come in here and create a virtual disk image with that machine. So the value in something like this, right? So let's say you have applications that are in-house applications that will only run in Windows XP, and you're looking to migrate all the machines to Windows 7. We can virtualize a physical machine exactly the way that it is, put it into a Citrix environment, and make it accessible to that particular user anytime they need to work with that application until you get it remediated to work inside of Windows 7. Okay? So very quickly we can do that. We can also build out pools. We can build out server farms with this application. And again, this is just tying directly into, we have connectors directly into Citrix. And what it does is this is just allowing you to manage everything from one console. So we are the only solution out there in the world that is capable of doing both managing physical and virtual machines and building out the server farms and using Citrix as a back end to build all that out. Here's a little bit more with the Citrix Zen app and some of the other capabilities that we have around Zen app. We can work directly with those servers to publish apps, push applications out, and work every aspect of Citrix directly from our console, and the actions take place through the Citrix environment. So that is a very high-level overview of what we do. The big thing to take away from this is that we are 100% hardware independent. It's a zero-touch environment. We have our own driver cloud that allows us to go through and inject only the drivers that are necessary for the machines to build. So it's a very efficient way of managing an OS deployment. We can standardize across the board with the agent templates, and everything is drag and drop. So it's a very intuitive console to be able to train somebody. There's no certification that's necessary. We do have our own certification process, but there's no certification that's necessary to be able to manage this console. We can go in here and I can teach somebody in about an hour the things that I've shown you here today and how to deploy systems. So at this point, we have about 10 minutes left I'm looking at. I think this is an hour demo. So we have about 10 minutes left, and I wanted to see if there were any questions. If Roger, if you had any questions come in, or Alan, any questions?
Yeah, this is Roger, John. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, so we've had a few questions here. A couple of people wanted to know about when you're doing your syncing, can you restrict the bandwidth to bandwidth throttling in effect with your solution?
Yes, absolutely. We can certainly do that. That's actually done through the agent. We have a number of different ways that we can go through and throttle the bandwidth. We can throttle it during certain times of the day, right? If you want to have between 8 and 5, you want to have it at the most time that we can sync between sites. The most bandwidth that we want to use is 10%, right? And then after those hours or any time outside of those hours, go up to 100%. So yes, we can.
Great. Let's see. How do you handle users who don't very frequently come into the office or whatever? Does that pose any issues?
Okay. All right. That's actually a good question, because a lot of people these days are working out of their homes, right? So what we need is just a connection back to those machines. Now, there are a couple different ways that we can do that. We have our own agent that can be, HTTPS that you're looking at here for this transport protocol. And as long as the user is connected to the internet, we can have it phone back. The agent can check in over the internet. We can set up a server out in the DMZ for it to check into, and we can do everything except for reload an operating system remotely on those. Of course, I don't think you want to do that anyway over the wire, but everything can be done to that machine outside of loading an operating system. So the software pushing, the patch management, gathering inventory, all that could be done over the wire.
Okay, great, thanks. So a question here on if you've got like an important patch or a package or whatever that you're trying to push out, do you have some kind of notification or exceptions of those users who haven't checked in order to receive those updates?
So like if a user hasn't checked in a while,
right.
Okay. Yeah, we can filter that information out, right? So let me just show you something real quick here. So we can certainly do that. The answer is yes, we can. What we do is we can go into, we can create filters to say, when was the last time this machine checked in, right? So we can see this machine checked in today at 1:50 or whatever the case is here. So we can filter it out that way and find out, tell me the machines that haven't checked in over the past 6 weeks, or somebody that hasn't checked in over the past 30 days, and we can filter those out.